episode of Nailed It or Failed It, which is a daily video podcast where I chat with marketers to learn one success they've had, one failure that they've learned a lesson from, and then one actionable tip that they can share with other marketers to help them get better results. Today, we're going to have a little bit of a different episode. I have Andrea Tarshus here with me. Andrea is an attorney, and she runs Tarshus Law Firm, and I'm really excited to have you here, Andrea, because I know, like we discussed, a lot of people are not aware of contracts and legal issues that may come along with either freelancing or running a marketing agency or anything like that. So I'm so excited to talk with you. And then can you just start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Andrea Tarshus with Tarshus Law Firm. As Tracy said, that's my own law firm. I'm a business attorney, but I bill myself as a general counsel for hire, meaning that I represent businesses, small business owners, large business owners, and entrepreneurs with startups. And primarily what I help people with is getting their businesses formed so that they're legally compliant, working with their vendors to put together some contracts to help them function on a day-to-day basis, and taking care of legal issues that pop up down the road, trademark issues, issues with patents, issues when people don't have contracts in place, that sort of thing. So it's always better to consult with an attorney before you get into legal trouble. And this is why, Tracy, I know you've got a wide audience here, and I'm hoping that I can pass along some tips for your viewers to help them get themselves started in the right direction.
Definitely. And I think that it's something, unfortunately, many people don't think about until it's too late. Like myself, I've used you as a lawyer in the past, and it's something that I hope I don't ever have to do again. And now I know what to do in the future. So can you start off by telling us a little bit about a success that you've had recently?
Sure. So I'm going to put a bit of a spin on your normal line of questioning. Normally you do a nailed it, a failed it, and a tip. So I'm going to talk in aggregate on behalf of all of my clients.
Sure.
and give you an example of how they've collectively failed it. So and collectively nailed it. So we'll start with the success story. When my clients do best is when they have a contract in writing, and the basic terms of a contract should always include the scope of the proposed work between the parties, payment terms, including how you get paid, when you get paid, how often you get paid, and then also basic termination provisions. So you should have in there, how do the parties walk away from each other if things go south, or if the project is all ticked and tied and you no longer need to work together. Those three things are really, really important to have written down, and clients that have those things written down tend to be off and running smoothly, and they can go back to that document and reference it if there are ever any issues or hiccups. So that really helps them function well. And another thing you should think about is, if you're saying to yourself, well, what is a contract? Is it just a written piece of paper? It can be that simple, but you should really think about, anytime you do business with somebody, how are you documenting that? Are you just sending an email back and forth, or are you putting, with a vendor services agreement in place? And if you're hiring other people to help you do the work, are you using independent contractor agreements with those people that outline your expectations? So those are two contracts that I would think most of your viewers would use the most regularly. But if you're a larger corporation and you have marketing programs in place, you should really have a marketing program agreement between your company and the company that you're providing the services to that outlines your marketing program. If you have a brochure, you normally send them, or a PDF, you can tie that into the agreement. And then again, talk about how you get paid, how you walk away from each other if you need to. And also I would recommend putting in there a notice provision that gives you enough time to tie up and pay any of your third parties if the two of you wanted part ways. So Tracy, I know that we've talked about this before, but it's really important to not be stuck in the position where somebody goes, you're fired, and you're like, well, great, I haven't gotten paid from you, and they don't want to pay you anymore. So what you really need to do is make sure you have in there a requirement for 30 days notice or 60 days, whatever makes the most sense for you and the scope of your business deal, so that you can make sure that everything is paid out and you're made whole when you end that transaction.
Definitely. And I'm sure if anybody's ever freelanced, sometimes how hard it can be to get paid. So these contracts are super important, but also, like Andrew said, if you work for a corporation or run your own company, definitely think about this in advance. Now, can you tell us a little bit about when your clients are not successful, when they fail?
So I hate to throw them under the bus, so I'm going to do that again as a collective group. They're either failing because they say, oh, we've got a verbal agreement, or, oh, we sent an email and they didn't write back to the email. So again, making sure that you do have those terms in writing, signed by the parties. And that signature part is really important too, because the other main place where I see clients fail is that they go through all the trouble of having the terms written down. Both parties say, that's great, we agree to this. And then either they have one signature and not the other, or neither of them sign it and they put it in a file and they move on and they start doing the work. So it's really important to have that document signed by both parties and dated. Don't just agree to it and then say, okay, well, we did our part, we can start working on it, or start doing the work before those signatures are in place. It's not going to be easy for you to prove that you had an agreement between the two of you if it's not signed. So just get it signed, put it in a PDF, keep it on your computer, and you've got it to go back to if you need to.
Absolutely. And my own piece of advice is make sure you put everything in the right Google Drive folder or on an external hard drive so you know where to find it in case you ever need to reference it, because sometimes Google Drive can get a little messy and you definitely want to be able to find that document. And then lastly, Andrea, can you tell us a actionable tip that marketers can take to be more successful in terms of, all of this legal stuff?
Absolutely. So if you're already doing these wonderful things, putting your agreement in writing, getting it signed, and you're really keeping tabs on how your business is run, a suggestion that I have is putting in automatic renewals. Not everybody thinks to do that in a contract. Some contracts have a term of 1 year or 3 years or 5 years, or even just the length of time it takes to wrap up a project. And sometimes the project goes further or longer than you would have anticipated, and you find yourself doing work, but you're doing it outside of the scope of your agreement at this point. So what would be a good idea is to have in there that the contract automatically renews for the same amount of time. So if it's a 1-year contract, put in there automatic 1-year renewals unless either party gives notice to terminate or to not renew the contract. And the other thing you can do that might be helpful for your marketers to think about is you can put in adjusted incremental increases over year, or month over month, whatever makes the most sense for the scope of your business and how often you're interacting with this client. But that way you've already got baked in an automatic client, automatic revenue stream, and recurring profits that you can go back to your boss and get the gold star for because you thought ahead and put it in writing.
That's amazing. I think that's a great tip. So, Andrea, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Great. Thank you for asking. They can look me up on my law firm website, which is tarshuslaw.com, and I'll spell that. It's T like Tom, A-R, S like Sam, H-U-S like Sam, law.com. And I have all my contact information on there, and I'll also share it with you, Tracy, and we'll be sure to leave it somewhere on this. Somewhere.
Great. Well, thank you so much. This was awesome, and I'm sure we'll have follow-up questions. And as you can hear, my dogs are going crazy right now. So that's it for today. Thank you, Andrea, and thank you everyone for watching.